Hi, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Now we're right on the dot for 12, but excited for our lunch and learn today. My name is Morgan Russell. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm happy to be with you to go through and work out any questions you might have, as well as if we're not able to work through them within this hour, to make sure those get resolved for you, either with a support ticket or some sort of return back, circle back communication there. Just like usual, you can raise your hand to be unmuted and verbalize your question, but otherwise you can also submit those through the chat. Let me get my chat popped up here. And we did not have any pre-submitted questions for us today. So I'll just go ahead and move over to my environment. So let me pause share for a sec. And I've just got a few environments up for 2 versions of 7, and then previous environment for version 6 as well, if we have any questions specific to that can't be addressed in 7 there. Hey, good morning. See a few more people coming in. Just like usual, if you have any questions, feel free to message those in chat or raise your hand and we can unmute you.
Candidate applications, Morgan. Is that one of the pre-built solutions that you guys are working on?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I just had a jet go over. Candidate applications.
Yeah, I was wondering, is that one of the
yeah, these were some of those previous projects that we built out kind of quickly. So they're kind of like Bake Off's POC-esque that we worked through last year. So there's some different ones. We have asset management. So they're small use cases. They're not our industry applications built out yet. And we're currently building that on the solutions team is loan origination system. So the candidate for it gave us a good starting point, but these are not like those finalized pre-built applications here.
Oh, okay. Right.
But they do look pretty nice. We got some good CSS on here.
Are these
For,
all individual use cases?
these ones are, yeah, these
Oh,
different
that's cool.
projects in here. So I think over the course of last year, these were all built. So starting with, I think Ben built out this ticketing process towards the beginning of last year.
Neat.
Yeah, and I think most of these were built in 6 in our other environment over here, and then moved over to 7, testing out 7's import export while we were working on it there.
You guys have a big initiative right now in solutions for. You guys have a big solution that you're working on.
Yes, we do. In the loan origination topic there, we're working on credit risk scoring and credit decisioning kind of as 2 pieces together in that process. Yeah, is what we're currently building out.
We're still planning on trying to offer these up through the App Store.
These candidates here,
I guess your primary,
the main one. Oh,
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure on the delivery mechanism. I don't think that's been entirely confirmed or settled yet.
Right.
But I believe they'll be kind of packaged separately than the regular decisions platform seems to be the idea.
Okay.
We're getting there. Now that on 7.5, all the CSS can go through and everything, so it's definitely nice.
What do you mean the CSS is going to go through? I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, in the earlier versions of 7, yeah, CSS could be moved through as a whole style sheet, but until I believe 7.4, you couldn't apply custom classes. So that was a DT that now is resolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we're just hanging out. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat so we can get those answered for you. We're kind of just breezing through some of these old projects that we have built out on this instance and taking a look here on, this is a version 7. I think it's 7.4. Yeah, 7.4 here. Warranty claim dashboard. Yeah, when we were developing these, we kept to a pretty consistent standard for what the dashboard to look like. So the tiles and the activity panel on the side.
Yeah, they look nice. I mean, coming from support, I see the entire spectrum of designs. So this looks nice.
I appreciate it. Try to have fit within the color palette of the icons and all that good stuff. I believe we could have also changed these colors here. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult, but I think in loan origination, that candidate process, yeah, it has these in the same color.
Is that CSS?
Okay. This is CSS up here, but for here, this is changing the color. This is, I believe, it's either a case or a flow execution extension. So it's changing the color of the states, expected states in the configuration folder.
Set state and color.
Yep.
Gotcha.
let's see. I'm trying to have the chat open. I don't think we have any questions in yet. I know sometimes they can take a bit to type out.
Yeah, hi there.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, it would be great. Did you actually hear anything I said?
No, I heard you say hi, but that was the last I'd heard before.
Okay, so hi. No, I don't have a particular question, but just watching you wander through your space here, I'm unfamiliar with how to create those tiles. So if you wouldn't mind walking through the creation of that, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. I think for 7, like you can import them from 6 to 7. I believe the HTML steps are a little different, so I can actually take us through that in 6 instead. So we can see that a little better. We should have the same processes. They should look similar. The layout of the top bar and everything's a little different in 6, but our KPI tiles and such should show the same. Let me go to
Are these diagram tiles, or you said HTML display?
These are HTML. I believe it's a simple tile with HTML passed into it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's what I want to check for it. Yeah, so let's go and take a look. It's been a little bit since I've been in here, so bear with me. So that should be in our page. Yeah, we have all the different KPIs. So jumping back, let's look at nice and simple one. Let's just do number of claims. Look at that KPI. Number of claims. So total claims KPI. And you could do this as instead of one individual flow for each of them, you could do it where it's the component on your page for multiple tiles and arrange them that way instead. So this one is, yeah, the HTML text is on our step here for the tile data. We're merging that in.
And to be clear, this is a special flow behavior. Maybe we should drill in from the page.
Drill from the page, okay.
Yeah. And you said this is so you got a simple tile, right?
Simple tile. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's more clear.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is the simple tile, which when you create and drag in the simple tile, component, you'll have the option to create that flow here, which will make it in that behavior for you. Sorry, getting back to 6 is always the time. Settings. So you can check the flow behavior.
6 and 7, I'm always, I always try to click for the steps toolbox.
Exactly. Yeah, moving
every
between.
single time.
Yeah. So absolutely. So this flows behavior is that return tile return flow behavior. So that's that specific kind of flow to work with our simple tile components.
Which is set by default. Once you drag that simple tile onto your page, you go in and it'll allow you to create this flow. It already knows the behavior, but just as a note, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. So what we're doing here, I believe this is, an in velocity step is how we're doing that custom HTML to get that styling in there. So it's got a bit for description, the icon URL, so telling it what icon to show, the title and the value, and what we're showing on that. So the icon URL, we have these stored in a folder. So we're just pulling the location of them, just dynamically pulling in the base URL. So it changes depending on what environment you're in. And then this is the location of that icon. So this one's that folder icon. And then our title is number of claims. Our value is that count of claims that we just fetched here. And that comes out as a merge string. So yeah, we're using a end velocity merge step there to format our HTML. And then our tile type is tile HTML text. And we're actually pushing some data there. So we're pushing a selection bus value. I think it's changing our report. So if we select it, the action will update the report there. And then we're just passing in what we just merged together into that HTML text field there. And then the output of this step, that tile data goes into your output.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Why choose, in this case, maybe if you remember when you guys were going over this, why choose simple tile over a diagram tile?
I believe it was for that custom like HTML format that we had developed at that point, as well as working with the CSS classes. So you could quickly change the CSS of the whole thing, the styling of them. So there's a different class. I can find it in here for each, so this is the blue one in this CSS is the tile watermarked. And I believe this is tile watermarked 1. Yeah. So it'll different CSS to quickly change the colors of it versus in your diagram tile. I believe, you'd have to go in and edit it each time.
Right. And with the simple tile, I guess you guys could push in the HTML as an input to the.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So you still have some dynamicness versus, picking your picture. It's just be a little easier to change it in one spot there.
Perfect.
And I can look to see if that actually will refresh. So if we click claims in process, yeah, it'll move up to have the ones that are not completed shown. So in this warranty claims, we had some states of review, customer review, waiting item, repairing and shipping. So if you're sending off you're saying, oh, well, my phone's broken. What do you have to do with it? So it's in review, you're waiting, receiving the item, and then shipping, repairing it, and then shipping it back. So this should update that to now just show the ones that are in transit. So either we're waiting to get it or we're sending it out. And then here, this tile is just showing the average time difference to complete a task. And then whichever one you're selecting should update our details here on the side. Yeah, so that tile we were just looking at, if we select it, it'll bring back that unfiltered report with all of the different states. So all these ones down here completed were not shown when we selected the tile here for in progress. So that's that action of pushing data to controls and changing the selection bus. So it's just updating what report is being viewed here.
And so is this just a regular report viewer that you're showing here?
Yeah, this is a regular report viewer. It's grouped, so by state, and it's got CSS applied to it. So this whole thing has, this whole page has CSS. So that's why the coloring there.
Is that available in 6? Like I'm on 617.
Yeah, this is 6 right now, what we're looking at here. This is 612.
Okay.
Yep, so that functionality is definitely there.
And okay, just because I know absolutely nothing about the reporting aspect of things, this association of an icon with a state, that's is that like a property of like the behavior of the report?
Yeah, so there's icon flows. So color and icon here. You can also set it individually on a field, but you can set out an entire icon on the report in the report editor here. So I've added this one. We can take a look inside of it. You pick the source of it. So we're doing a flow here. There's also other options of you could do a rule instead or a color flow, which would highlight the entire row if you didn't want an icon.
Okay.
But for this use case, we wanted an icon. And then you create the flow right here, puts it in and builds that custom, behavior type that you need. And when you go in here and do that, this one probably could be a little bit cleaner, maybe with a truth table or something, but simple here, you create the input. So this one, I'm, determining the state of it and then creating what image I want that state to look like. So the state is an input. We have a string match step to saying we're looking at that state and these are the possible states it could be. So we just split it off depending on what's coming in. So if the state comes in and it's submitted, it goes up and follows that. The particular kind of output we're looking for is this image info. So we just build it. So this is just a create data step and you just name it whatever you'd like. I typically do like image info or icon info, and the particular data type, which is the same you'll see on the output, is called image info. And once you've then created it, you can come down here. You could set it dynamically and do more logic in here. I just have these all as constants. And you just can go ahead and specify your icon and change the color. You could pull this in from file, URL, the same kind of options you have in a form designer.
That's great.
And then, so then these all, will have the same name. So icon info is what they're all called. So whatever path it takes, the output is then just mapped to that icon info.
And again, this flow behavior, which kind of object you need to create in those create steps, because this flow at the end step is already expecting that type, right? And so that's how you know, because the flow is going to complain if you don't feed it into that end step.
Exactly. It's already telling you you need the image info as your type there, right, to what to pass in there.
Yeah, so when you create the flow right out of the box, the output is going to tell you you need an icon info type.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Gotta love the string match step.
Oh yeah, definitely an exceptionally useful step when you're just doing some simple work there.
If for the attendees or anybody who doesn't know, all of those outcome paths, every time a new match, a possible match is entered, it creates an outcome path. So it's like a quick and dirty truth table almost. It's very, very useful stuff.
Exactly, yeah. Just a string equals truth table.
Just out of curiosity, in the forever hopeful world, what is anything going on in terms of making actual strings like these multi-language?
I'm not sure on that one here. So if you passed in something, if it would translate it to match.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the difficulties is that right now, like, there don't seem to be a lot of ways to, to translate data inside of decisions. Like, for example, I'm in Montreal, and everything I do has to be done kind of in French. I mean, ideally it would be English and French, but like, so the idea that like your step in a case would be completed to an English person, but it would be complété to a French person, depending on the language that they're coming in as. But there's not really a way to do that, right? Like the steps in one of your flow data types have to be kind of like predefined and immutable as a particular string kind of thing, right?
Well, I think we have translation services trying to recall exactly how they work, because I think there's two branches of translation and decisions. There's one that's a kind of it's like an unintelligent, and like it basically kind of requires that you supply a dictionary.
Yep.
And then I know on an account by account basis, you can set the language, but again, I think you have to supply the dictionary. I need to refresh my memory on this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it dynamically in a flow will do that. I'm not quite sure on that, but it could definitely.
No, it has to be from the front end perspective. If somebody is interacting with the UI or is seeing data on a report, but again, I need to confirm the
Gotcha. So through the back end, the code that you build out should be in a consistent language, so it moves through. Okay, that makes sense. One quick note on this one: once you create that icon flow here and you save it, and bring you back to this view, whatever inputs you set up, you'll then have to map it to the right field. So our input was state. You have all the available fields that are in whatever data type you've selected. So you just pick which one you want to pull into that flow as your input.
Okay,
and
great.
As well as the icon type, if you want to do anything with icons in a report, there is a particular thing you have to turn on. Just to double check that we've got it. That's going to be under grid view. And then you want it to be, if you change, this will be hidden if you have it as, it starts off as default, so you can't see anything there. You change your grid settings type from default to specified. And then you change your icon type from none to image in order for you to get your icons to show on the side.
Okay, great. No, that looks great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. So close out of here. Yeah, they're definitely helpful. I like good little icons. Let's see if we have any other cool dashboards. Let's see. It's very similar, same kind of thing there. These ones look like it was. Permissions to look at a task. This one was like a kind of security incident tracker. So similar to a ticketing experience, just about security, where you'd go in, log in something that you would see as a problem there. So suspicious URL was submitted. This is the particular case ID. Looks like I put it in as a test, was testing out the comments. We can attach an email, do a new comment. Okay, that's still working. It's been a while since we took a look at everything. Change the state here. So this would be the view as someone who is working that task there, since we picked it up off the side on our dashboard. Change it to review. And then that moved that out of that state.
So just out of curiosity, and again, coming from the notion that I haven't actually spent a lot of time in the whole reporting world in decisions, but like, for example, if I wanted to implement some kind of like a sales drill down type thing, and you know, so you're starting, I don't know, maybe by region, and then, you know, product line, and then whatever. So is every one of those drill downs basically another report?
Yeah, when you come into here, it's a whole nother page. You could create a custom page where you have more actions and more things go down depending. This is a case view page since this was built on a case entity. But other types, you can also have specific pages that are tied when you select an entry. I believe this right here is just the default one. This isn't any customization there. It just has the colors that we put in since we color coded our states. But this is just the default drill down, but you can create a custom page inside whatever type you're looking at. It's configuration configuration folder. So if we look at this one's data structure, our main case here is the incident. So let's find our incident configuration. Yeah, the folder that gets automatically generated with it. So same with entities, we'll also have a configuration folder generated. Your simple database structures won't have it off the bat, but you can enable it. So if we dive into that, this has, you know, our case editor where you see all the different cases, and this is where we actually change those colors. But if we go to just the list view, we can see our page. Oh no, since there's no page here, but if we wanted to add a page, you would just create one. Either in the folder, this is the same location. You create 1.6. So where's our, yeah, this create page here. And just as long as you create the page inside the configuration folder, that's going to be the page that'll pop up for that type. So I can actually try to do that in 7.
Gotcha.
Unless we have any other questions. Okay, cool. I'm in my sandbox. So let's just briefly, do we have any good types to make a folder? Oh. Let's create our case entity. fields. Sample case. And the namespace by default is the folder tree. Since this is the root folder, it's just giving us lunch and learn, but it's always good to go back and check to see before. That's the one thing you can't change, your name of your data structure as well as your namespace after you create it. And if we wanted to use some audit history, we could audit the changes on a case entity or an entity structure. We don't super need to for this example, but it is there.
Oh, that's a point of curiosity. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean anyone who makes any kind of physical changes to the type that gets audited somewhere?
Yeah, there is I'm trying to remember what the name of the table is called. Brenda, do you know the name? It's
no, it's something with audit, and I could find
it's like
out right
audit history table. And I believe you can filter by the ID or the name of the structure, one of the two there. And it's not like super extensive, but it can tell you what fields were changed. So it'll make an entry anytime something's of that type is created if we audited it.
Okay,
Just
great.
type that, as well as when things are changed. So it does
Right.
get saved into a report that you can
So
search and find.
What, when kind of thing?
So right before, so it'll log it right before a change. So a save, like an after before save event, similar to those.
Okay.
So someone goes and makes a new structure, be like, okay, the new entries there, it'll be in the audit history change as well. If that same structure then for this case, we change the name from Jim to Joe, it would make an entry in the table as well and tell you who did that, what date.
I believe it is the audit entity table. So it's definitely a back end thing, a retro, probably more often than not a retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm again. I mean, I can, as you wander through things, my stream of consciousness digression questions, are endless. So if there are other people out there that are, waiting in line, I'm not trying to.
Oh yeah, no worries. You're totally fine. Doesn't look like we have any other questions at this point, so you're fine to jump in
Okay.
whenever.
Great.
And if others do, I mean, you can raise your hand. We'll see it, or submit a question to the QA panel. It'll queue up. We'll see it after the fact, so everybody will get their place if you guys have additional questions.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll create this real simple case. We'll turn on audit just for one there.
And to the localization question, admittedly, it is an area of the platform that I'm ignorant in. But having looked at our documentation, and maybe Morgan, you can even pull it up, there is an entire localization section with a lot of information. Yeah, right there, localize. That is the primary article, and you can see on the left-hand side we've got the localization section, and this article here directs you to various aspects of our localization capabilities, ranging from translation to time translation as well on a user by user basis. So the data at rest is the same, but any static labels, static times, things like that, you can change the user culture from a user by user basis. Dynamic data, however, does need to be translated on the fly, like in a flow, or any input that's supplied to a thing dynamically needs to actually be translated from a dynamic perspective.
Okay, but so just like to put that into like an example, like let's say, for example, I have a flow data extension, and at some point I want to set its state. Well, one of the inputs to the set state is going to be a string. And the string, my understanding, has to be in a language. So if I want to say, set state started, then and somewhere I want to actually use the state of the flow for some other action. My understanding is that decisions is going to store that string somewhere as the word started. So I can't ask the question if the string is equal to débuté, and I have I mean, so what you're saying is possibly is that decisions, when it sees the word started, if I have a translation table going, it will substitute that out. But I mean, as far as kind of asking questions about the actual string, the string to my way of thinking is stored as a specific language.
Yeah, if you're trying to operate on the data in the flow, check, like you said, in your case, check to see if started equals, something in another language, then that is something you'll have to do in the flow as a part of the flow's logic.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
But if that's not something you're displaying to a user, potentially you can keep it maybe in one language on the back end. But if it's something you're trying to, have exposed or shown somewhere, you need to have that probably translated then.
Right.
I think I'm on the local. Yeah. Okay. So we just built out our case. So let's just make a flow. Let's do. I know there's the simple way to make the form for it. We can make a quick form if not. Found it in 6 a while ago. That's okay. We'll make a quick form. Actually, we can just have it as a flow for the logic there. So I'm just going to make a quick flow so we can have some entries in our table. So create sample.
I'm not sure, but if you do like an edit data type, are there not like a series of checkboxes that you select to create right-click actions?
You're saying on here?
Yeah, like if you do the, okay, I'm not sure how it works.
Maybe
like when you're editing the actual data type, there's, there. They're not a series of, okay, if you click advanced, okay, sometimes I see like adding right-click actions for added entity and that sort of stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I believe probably up top it's got, yeah. So your edit action and add. Nice. Oh, so should delete.
Yeah, those are the out-of-the-box ones. For creating more complex actions, you go into the config folder and create your use actions there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just gonna make our quick flow to create some. Sorry, I forgot probably some old data giving us pop-ups. So that was a case entity. And we named it sample case drill down. I knew I already had a sample case. Oh man. All the DTs for all these samples. Just let's go make at least one. Pick our constant folder actually for where these live. Go back and make that folder. And we'll build our data. Case ID gets constantly generated. Name. We'll select from flow. I'm just going to use our add input feature just to have it be from the start of the flow. Same thing with our name. So once you do select from flow, you do have this option to add an input, which will just make whatever you provide the name in that type that it's requiring. So just do.
Adds that as an input to the start step.
Yep. So now those are all mapped in there, and I think it was folder description, folder name. Just have it be. Bring in our name, and then sample case.
So is this add input a new feature in 7?
I don't believe so. I think it was had it in 6.
Yeah, I think it was introduced sometime in 6. I don't know if it's in the earliest 6, but
Okay.
somewhere during the 6 lifetime.
Yeah, I can check that real quick.
And so that basically removes the need for you to click on the start step and set up your input data there?
Exactly. Instead of show editor here and putting it in, if you know what you want to call it, and you're in this particular spot. So
Oh, that's great.
here,
Cool. I
yeah,
didn't notice
so,
that.
it doesn't come up off the bat. So this input here, it doesn't have it. If you select from flow and then close, there's the little add input now.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so it's a little secretive there, and then I'll just map it in for you. And if we go and check, we can now have our input string.
Oh, that's, yeah, great.
Mhm. Yeah, so this is in version, I think it was 6.12. So at least in then. Yeah, I'm gonna save and come back just so I can make a quick folder to save our case data in. Check on questions, we look good.
Just a random comment, but you can actually move the steps around in a flow with the arrow keys. For
Super nice for getting those lines straight.
Yeah, and you can hold shift as well, and that'll make it jump a little farther while you're using the arrow key.
Oh, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to try
wow.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back. So I just made our folder, so that's where I'll just save our case data. So
Keeps my sanity.
absolutely. So you said it was shift to do it?
Yeah, if you hold shift
jumps?
and then, is it not shift or is it control? Did they take it out?
Let me try control. It's control.
Oh, it's control. There you go. And then you can make the granular change without
that's
control.
really nice. Yeah, and without control, you do the really teeny.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, working
awesome.
with decisions has made me obsessed with lines.
Absolutely. You can also do the distribute.
And align, yeah.
Is it horizontally or vertically? I want horizontally.
I always get
confused. Yeah, because vertically is up. Yeah, making them in a line up and down. So if I had these ones, oh no, that's not what I want. I wanted the other way. So if this is like off-centered here, I could highlight those and horizontally distribute it so it spaces them out.
Yeah, and there's an align as well. The align doesn't always play nice with the start and end steps, but for other steps, it typically works okay.
Okay, I have not tested out align. So does that push them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you align this horizontally, I think it's, or center it, I want to say that's it. I could be, no, that's the one I always get. If you center it vertically, that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay, well,
I always get this because I think horizontal.
Oh, because this one is the other way. Yeah. Okay, so center. Oh, that makes sense. Center up and down. Yeah,
you're centering it on that axis, but my brain doesn't.
Oh, that's really nice. I did not know that. I love to lunch and learn. That's a good trick. Sweet. Okay, so let's pick that parent ID. That's what we're doing. So it's constant. So I'm just going to do our case data folder that we just made. So now we save that and debug it. We can create a few of those records. I'll just do me. Okay. Debug that, make one entry there. So we at least have one record on our table when we make our page. Okay, so now we have a record. Let's make a quick page and report if we're still interested in doing that. So we'll create a form, new page. Do we have any fun? Let's try a landing page. Sample case. Dashboard. Let's see. Okay, cool. So that gives us this is 70 pixel. Or 60 pixel top bar, and then a big old form tile. We don't need the form tile. We'll get rid of that. Drag in a toolbox. Drag in a report viewer. Probably too big, but that's fine. That's all we needed to do there. And we can make our report. Oh, we do not. It's not existing. A new report for sample case. Yeah, we really only have those two pieces of data. That is unique. Oh, drag those twice. We can also put in, if we wanted state, right now there's no states, but just a default started state there. Let's do create on date. Our double. And to rearrange in 7, you have to move the arrows. Same with grouping in there. To go descending if we had more. So it's the most new at the top there. We'll save here. We don't need any kind of filters. Showing all of them here. So now that report is in. So if we save and close here, we'll just publish it on our Lunch and Learn folder for that page. So publishing a dashboard, go right click, manage, page dashboard, add a page dashboard. We're going to pick an existing one since we have it. Dash, what we just made. If we had multiple pages going to be shown on this folder in this dashboard, we can change the order. We don't need to. And we don't need to adjust the resolution, but there are details there for it if you want to adjust for mobile, computer, tablet.
So you can select all three of those things at the same time?
These ones?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so does that have some kind of effect depending on what type of device you're viewing the page through?
So it will either, let's see, it's displaying resolutions greater than 0 and less than this. So it's what platforms that's applying to. So it's checking that resolution on all these kind of platforms to determine if it will display or not.
Okay. No, I guess the reason I'm asking, and again, this is like digressing, is that you guys have an out-of-the-box email template.
Mm-hmm.
And it has some kind of cool stuff in it that kind of seems to rearrange how the template is displayed depending on what type of client is viewing it.
Mm.
And I was wondering if there was something kind of similar happening here.
I'm not sure if it'll rearrange it entirely. I haven't messed with too much on mobile view myself.
Okay.
But just reading this off the bat, it seems like it's kind of determining that Boolean, so you can adjust the resolution threshold here and
Gotcha.
determine what you're applying that to.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So we can hit done there and save. So now we have this new tab up top on this folder since we published it just on this outer folder. So if we click it, we can view what we just made. So obviously we didn't rename our report viewer, so that title's still report viewer, but we do have our default, or our view of all those cases that we made. So now we're prepped to make a drill down view page for our new records. So it will replace the default one that you get brought to when you click on. So it says case view.
Right.
So we go back to case data. When you click on an individual record, you're brought into that case view page. So back into our main folder, we're going into the entity configuration folder. So that's that folder that was created by default when you created your case structure. It's also when you create an entity. And in here, we've got the states. These are just default states. Haven't changed those at all. And in 7, you have the button just up top. In 6, I believe you have to go to like manage, and then you can find the create page button here. A few different options here for what we're doing. We're just creating that simple page / dashboard. So we'll call it our drill down page. And we don't need a template. So now this page is where you can now customize what your users will see when they click on that individual record. So you have your first dashboard, all your records there. You click on the second, you click on that individual row on the report of that type. This is what would show.
Okay.
So, so let's just bring in, I don't know, we don't have much data here. So maybe
Yeah,
we'll
you can
show
just,
it.
just drag in anything really, because as long as we really just so we can see, the drill down effect, since we don't really have data to work with.
We have just an image. Where's it called? Image. Perfect. So these will probably say no data, but we can see our tree image. So once you've built that out, you can close.
That's all that matters.
And go back to our folder. Since this was a designer folder, you still have all your data in it. If it was just designed to be just a dashboard folder, you could have it as a regular folder, a non-designer folder where you publish your page here. And then when we're on the initial page and we have all our records, pick the particular one, drill down, you can then view that page. So it replaces that default decisions page.
Gotcha.
I believe if you delete that page from your configuration folder, it should just revert back to the old one. You can test that out while we're here. So I'm going back to the configuration folder and just do the list. Here's that drill down page. If I delete the page, go back. It goes, it resorts back. So you can't lose that default one if you ever don't want to use the one you custom create.
Okay.
Yep. So you can use that as far as having custom data kind of stacking in. And you can do that if you're drill down view, then you have another report in here. And whatever you're reporting on type there, if you want another page, when you select the record there, it would just be building a case view page or data view page in that different data structures configuration folder. Let's take a look. Okay. We do have that 7-ish minutes left. Is there anything anybody would like to take a look at or just questions that popped up throughout the call?
Yeah, this stuff looks great.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, Elise, who, if you were on yesterday's Lunch and Learn, was the host, makes beautiful CSS. So very, very thankful to be able to.
And is this stuff is this stuff generally available as part of the product, or is this like more?
These projects that we're looking at currently?
Yeah.
I don't believe they're not like published anywhere at a point. I think the intent is to eventually get some versions of them on the App Store and such. But I believe like exports are available. We have YouTubes of some of these being demoed. So I believe on the regular, like if you requested an export of one, you could have one.
Okay, because I think in a previous Lunch and Learn, someone did send out a series of CSS files.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if these things just keep piling up, or because your stuff looks way nicer than mine.
Yeah, having someone who knows CSS definitely helps for sure as far as styling, because you get decisions. Sometimes UI can be a little bit challenging. CSS helps bridge that gap really well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And like once you have like a good CSS sheet, even if you're not well versed in it, the ability to go through and kind of change colors and things to make it your own. Because a lot of these candidates use very similar structured, like similarly named classes in their CSS file. So it's just like color differences and such. A few of them have different.
So years and years ago, I was doing ASP.NET development, and one of the things, out of the box, in Visual Studio, that whole stuff is kind of like, kind of, I'd say, lean and that sort of stuff. But there was a company called Component Art that their thing was basically to make just the most spectacularly beautiful controls. And, the difference between, throwing a grid on that is styled to perfection versus, the out of the box, data grid in Visual Studio. I mean, it's just so, I mean, I'm looking at your dashboard and I'm kind of looking in my head at my dashboard, and, kind of the word wanting is coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. You could do it with decisions. You can make it very stylish.
Yeah, we could probably package something up and send it over. I'm assuming, I'm not sure what solutions team has. I don't want to speak out of turn, but even just as an example, purely for the sake of CSS on its own, if that's really,
oh yeah,
what you're hoping for, I'm sure we can send that stuff over.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But if there's no other questions, we can definitely wrap up that 3 minutes early, unless you want to see dashboards for 3 more minutes. Either way works.
No, I'm good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for your questions. They're definitely really good. And it's always interesting to kind of double check between version 6 and 7. On Solutions team, we've been working with version 7 since it was in beta like last November. So sometimes forget all the 6 stuff.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks so much, everybody. And we'll hope to see you on the next time next week. Enjoy your Friday and weekend.